Hello, DreamCon. We are a color folk in anime where we talk about anime from a colorful perspective. We've been a podcast, video podcast as well. Been in existence for how long? It's been about 2 years?
Yeah, it's been about 2 years.
2 years.
Sure.
And we talk about everything. We talk about anime, manga, manhwas, K-dramas, comic books, everything related to black nerd culture in general, and whatever we want to talk about that we feel is important to black culture. And today we're talking about representation. But before we get to any of that at all, I gotta introduce my host here, my homie Jordan.
Yo.
Chris.
Hi.
And you don't see him, but he's an enigma, and it's Malcolm behind the camera.
Hello.
And he is the reason why you can see me right now.
AKA Zordon.
Without a doubt, the best. And I wanted to start off with something light before we get into our heavier representation topic.
Right.
And we're going around, we're talking about our favorite anime. We'll start with that first. And I'm not going to tell you why. I'm just going to tell you what it is. Mine is Bleach. I would have worn my Bleach shirt. I have a laundry story that you're going to have to go on the YouTube and watch as to why I don't have it anymore. I want to talk about this, bringing up bad memories. Jordan, what do you have for your favorite anime?
My favorite anime is One Piece.
Ooh, there we go.
Hunter.
Yeah. They're at Killua's assassin's place, trying to bring them back to normal.
You are flying through it, man.
I will go to the gym. It's not important.
Okay.
Malcolm, what you got? Favorite anime?
Hunter would probably be mine as well.
Hey.
Yours is like the 1984 version, right?
I'm crying.
Greatest year ever.
Hey. Sweet.
That's a good book too.
And we got some time, so we can go through it. Let's talk about, give a little snapshot of how we all got into anime. I'll go first. Toonami. Toonami is, Toonami. I mean, WB counts if you count Pokemon, and Yu-Gi-Oh! And all that stuff.
Yeah.
But otherwise, Toonami is like Toonami and MTV used to play Ghost in the Shell like late at night. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think for me it's pretty similar. Through either WB with Pokemon on Saturday mornings.
Yep.
And Digimon also, I was like, we've talked about on the podcast. I'm a Digimon fan.
Yeah.
Chris and Malcolm will come for me.
Slanderous.
I'm sad.
Yeah.
You know.
I'm still a Digimon fan. Pokemon and Digimon, and then Toonami with DBZ.
Yeah.
Are you a fan of Heymon?
Heymon.
What? Oh, get out.
Got him, coach.
But
yeah, that's how I got into anime.
Yeah.
I am the same. Pokemon was kind of the first to you didn't know you were watching anime.
Yeah, right.
And then when I was conscious that I was watching something foreign, was probably Toonami with like Dragon Ball Z and Sailor Moon and stuff like that. Yeah.
Sailor Moon.
For me, when I was younger, my dad worked at Blockbuster, and they looked like cartoons, but they were very violent in breastises.
That's pretty much every anime, like everyone.
Late 80s, early 90s.
Yep.
That was every anime.
Yep. Hey, if you want to hear more about all of this stuff, we talk about a lot of this stuff on our YouTube, on our podcast. YouTube, where things get popping. Our Discord, where things get popping. But if you're in the DreamCon Discord, let us know what your favorite anime is. Why?
Yes.
You don't have to argue with it. Ain't no gatekeeping or anything here. We just want to know, because we believe that everybody should be able to share what their favorite anime is without getting stoned. Anyways, subscribe to our YouTube. Rate us on iTunes. You get through our catalog, our back catalog. It's amazing stuff. More goofiness, more anime, more black culture, and more everything that you need in a conversation. And be a part of the conversation. We got a Discord. We have a Facebook group. And we have, I'm missing one more thing.
Instagram page.
And an Instagram page.
And TikTok.
And we have a TikTok, which is Talkin.
Although, I mean, hey, Lance's TikToks are A1.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, TikTok is amazing. TikTok is TikTok is the best waste of time since Vine.
That's facts.
All right. And with that, I'm moving on to our main topic. Appreciate that. We are talking about, sorry, that thing went off. Hope you can bring that back up. We are talking about representation today. And representation is such an interesting topic. I think we broached this topic before on our podcast. So if you're like a listener that's listened before or a viewer that's viewed before, we hope to go a little bit deeper in this conversation. But the reason why representation is so interesting when it comes to anime is because it's primarily a Japanese art form. It wasn't created in America. Right. You know, we have a lot of Hollywood things and shows and stuff that are happening now that we are like begging for representation and stuff like that. And that's why you see a lot of you see Marvel starting to make some of the big turns. You see a lot of the shows and comic book related shows starting to make those turns as well. Especially even now think about it. What's the I was gonna say what's the DC Avengers Justice League, but they had with
so disrespectful.
It's pretty much, but like, but I think about Cyborg, right, and even like having him as a, and so both the thing
that's so disappointing every time I think about it.
Yeah, without
every time.
Yeah, I just read a whole other article on him, but all that to say is there is an effort to make representation in at least in like Hollywood in regards to America. And there's always been an issue with representation for Black people in anime. Yet they've always been represented in various ways. But the first question I want to start off with is, why do we even feel the need to have like Black representation or just people of color representation in anime? Why is that even important?
Yeah. I feel like it's one of those things where the globalization might be to blame. The idea that we have so much more access to the world in a general sense. And so because of that and kind of the commodification of culture in a general sense, wow, sorry, I'm really coming out. Guns blazing. So because we're kind of like, you know, we can buy and exchange culture from places that we never would have been able to before.
Yeah.
As you start to try to sell and market in new places representing the people that you're trying to get to buy your product essentially is increasingly more important. So it's like the idea is like, if you want me to buy this, you have to make it something I want to buy.
Yeah.
And it's as anime kind of takes its place on the main stage and is in front of more and more eyes, it's becoming more and more important for them to consider all of the people that they're trying to get to buy their stuff. Especially if they want it to blow up to like Hollywood type status.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think kind of along those lines too with globalization and reaching a much significantly larger fan base. I feel like with anime is such a big thing in the Black community and has been for a long time.
Yeah.
And like it was underground big in the Black community until like the last probably decade.
Yeah.
But you know, so all of us grew up as closet anime fans probably. Mm-hmm. But I think with that, I mean, you have a large demographic of Black folks that really, really vibe with anime. And so, and I mean, Black folks are the most loudly supportive group of any people that support things. Black folks support it the loudest, like the biggest. So, you know, like gear, music. I mean, you have large like hip hop influences, you know, with anime, like, you know, a lot of groups that have talked about anime for decades now in their music,
right?
Or at least Asian art styles. You know, like you have Wu-Tang that talks about Asian art styles a lot. Mm-hmm. And so you have a big importance of anime in the Black community. So I think with the anime medium, like you can capitalize on what a big audience that is.
Yeah.
And when you start putting characters that are true to the culture, and you know, that's a lot of things too. Like you don't have to have a specific character in mind. So like there isn't one archetype of Black folks that can be in an anime. Like you could have so many different lanes, because you know there's so many different lanes. You know what I mean? You have like nerdy folks. You got, you know, like the martial. You know, you have like the Blackie Chans and the and the you know, the Shafts, and then you've got like the, you know, all different kinds of things that you could do with a Black character. You know, it doesn't have to be kind of one archetypal character. So there's a lot of things you can do.
Yeah. Do you and I follow up, this isn't on my little list or whatever, but do you feel like with the globalization, since we pulling out encyclopedia words early, Really? Do you feel like there is I get the whole notion of wanting to make a product for people who want the product, but do you feel like there needs to be like attention to detail? So right, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Because I think representation. I mean, not even just looks. I think looks might be the least important form of representation. Because story time. I worked at Blockbuster, right? And this little white kid, right? And Blockbuster was in Wauwatosa, Wisconsin, which is literally 8 blocks from the hood.
Right, right.
It's on 60th. It's on the street that's 8 blocks from the hood. So 8 blocks from a whole bunch of black people. Little white kid coming to the store is just looking at me. Like just staring. It's probably 5-year-old white kid. And then I'm like, oh, what's up, man? He's like, hey, how you doing? Then just out the blue. I've never seen a black person in real life before.
Hilarious.
I'm like, what?
I've heard of you people, but
He's like,
to see you? Oh my god!
Yeah, he was like, I've only seen you on TV.
Yo.
I was like, oh, for real? He's like, yeah, you look scary on TV.
Stop.
That's what he says to me.
That's wow. Yeah.
5-year-old kid, never seen a black person in real life.
Yeah.
And that's what he said to me. And I'm like, well, am I scary? He's like, no, you're nice. I'm like, keep that.
Yeah, right.
His mom the whole time, of course, trying to shut up, shove him out the door.
Yeah.
But, that's why.
Because it's her fault.
But that's why representation is important, because people consume that media.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And a person that lives probably half a mile from a whole bunch of black people never interacted with one.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's all they have to go off of.
True.
Yeah.
Of to what black people are.
Yeah, and that's
so true.
That's like the other podcast me and Jordan used to do. More noise. It's and it we talk about a lot of that. Like in Wisconsin, especially Milwaukee, like there are just lines drawn, where people never have to interact with each other if they don't want to. You got your little set of stores, you got your whole little thing, you got your and I think that because of that, similar to what you're saying, there are times where people are never gonna they can literally not interact with somebody and make up a whole ideology behind who they think this person might be or this kind of person might be. You know what I mean? Like, oh, these college kids are messy, or these black people, they're gangbanging, man. They're, you know what I mean? Like, or vice versa. On the other side, I think like because there are people that are on the hood side of Milwaukee that never go to the east side, never. And like, oh, white people are just trying to lock us up. You know what I mean? And it's like that because a lot of that is representation as well. You know what I mean? But for the most part, large in part, black folks are the people that have gotten the brunt of the, you know what I mean? Like of the treatment when it comes to all of that.
Well,
stuff.
That's because the representation part, being a minority and being misrepresented, works doubly against you.
Right.
Because there's not enough of you in regular life on top of represented on TV in a diverse enough way where somebody be like, oh, that's fiction.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's good. Let's get right into it. Where are we at on this topic? Okay, sweet. Sweet. Awesome. Great. Let's talk about this. We have I sent y'all some articles too. There are times in anime where a lot and it's funny reading other articles and seeing other like creators and podcasters react to some really poor, horrible representation of black people in anime, and I'm realizing that there's some of them are like universal, some of them are like everybody's like, yo, but let's get into that. This don't have to be like in a particular order, but I'd love to hear what are some representation that y'all have not seen that y'all have seen done horribly. And when you watch anime, you cringe. You're like, that's not black people.
Let's
that's
talk
not
about
us.
every black person in Dragon Ball series. All of them.
Talk about it.
Mr.
Every
Popo?
single one. Mr. Popo. All the people
He's
in
the
the
worst.
town.
He's
there
the
was
worst,
that
though.
one arc where they were in that town with the red people or whatever. Where I'm so bad with names. Where the red people are trying to like take over the town, and one of the sergeant guys is the black guy.
Is that Dragon
he looks
Ball?
real. bad.
Z?
Yes, Dragon
Okay.
Ball.
Oh yeah, that's
Okay,
right.
that's
Yeah,
not
this
Dragon
is
Ball,
regular
yeah.
Dragon Ball. Did I go too far back?
No, it's fine.
Okay.
No, it's like the whole thing is problematic.
It's
Right.
all of it. It's all of it.
bad.
It's in Dragon Ball Z too.
Right.
But yes, Dragon Ball never got it right, and not once.
Yeah.
Not one
Except
time.
for Piccolo, and he wasn't
Right. They had
black
to
colored.
paint him green to get it
That's
get it
hilarious.
right.
to be accurate.
Yeah. Yeah.
Such fun.
I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up Sister Crone.
Yeah.
Promise Neverland.
Yeah.
Do
Which
not
is-
like Sister Crone at all.
No.
Which, she's like that. She's the prototypical minstrel
Yeah.
face.
And
you
we
know
talked
what I mean?
about this too. I
Yeah.
disagree.
No, she
Oh,
is. No, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I like her character sort of, but I think what she portrays, like look wise, with those lips and the brute strength, right? Like,
Yeah.
oh, she's like an ape. She's strong. You know what I mean? I think
But
It's
do they
problematic.
say that?
they imply it.
Not explicitly, but like, when you have that scene where she's like chasing the kid where they're playing
Yeah.
tag in the
Yeah.
woods, like that to me, like that was super like shock and awe moment, where you've got a very explicitly stated fear of Sister Crone that they didn't have of their white mother.
There we go. And then she was the
And-
more dangerous one.
Right. And at that point, they knew that she was literally going to be that. Well, the spoilers. They knew that she was feeding them like to their captors. At that point, they knew about all that.
Right.
So they had more fear of Sister Crone than they did of their mother.
But she was
in
also
that moment.
aggressive.
Well, she was, which
I mean,
But
is a
that's-
black
that's the
stereotype.
point. Yeah,
right?
that's
That's
the
a black
point.
stereotype.
Black aggressive
So like
woman.
when they show her like running through the woods at top speed,
Yep.
and her facial expression, like how powerful her movements
and
are.
so I
like-
would say, wouldn't the inverse be true as well?
What do you mean?
Because don't is it the white stereotype? The women always do the passive aggressive type stuff to get on you, and so they kill you a little more silently. It's not as overt.
Yeah,
as
but
black
I mean,
people seeming to be.
when has that ever like worked against like white women? I mean, like when has that ever?
It's still a trope.
Without a doubt,
What
it's
So-
definitely a trope. I think one of them is problematic to like public image, and I think the other one is just a stereotype.
See,
like
and
that's just,
the main reason I disagree is because to me she just looks like a black woman. You know what I mean? She
what do you
it's
think, Chris?
it's not over. You know, it's
Resident black
not
woman.
over exaggerated like some black people. Most black people got wide nose. My nose is super wide. I got huge nostrils. Like
No,
I got bigger lips. Like her lips weren't like Mr. Popo's lips. They weren't discolored
that's
and overdone. She just looked like a black woman to me.
yeah.
You know what I mean? She just didn't look like a light skinned black woman. If you want to, go that route, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which I think it's her role in the story that affected it more than
Yeah,
for sure.
anything.
Yeah,
you know
for
what I
sure.
mean?
Yeah.
So
I can see that.
What the thing we were talking about, and I was like, there's something very, and this is gonna sound bad, but there's something very almost innocent about that. Like she just looks like a black lady that I kind of appreciate that you have that view. But when we were talking about it, like a minute ago, one of the things that I think that doesn't help is we kind of touched on it on the other episode we were talking about like getting when we were into anime and you'd be too old or whatever.
Yep.
This idea of reconceptualizing cultures. And so I sound like such a nerd. But anyway,
Just accept it.
Just lean into it.
right, I am a nerd.
Lean into it.
So the idea of reconceptualizing cultures, when you're trying to tell a story. So the idea of the Promised Neverland in particular is like there really aren't any cultural lines that are being drawn at all.
Yeah.
It's true.
And so they kind of have to represent whatever different races and ethnicities and stuff like that would be existent on the earth. So in that route, they do a very good job of making the children very diverse, but there's no kind of separation because people don't have that and they're centuries away from that. But I think that the thing that hurts the Sister Crone character the most is the Japanese trope of the evil witch kind of character.
Right.
So if you look at like stuff like what was the name of that movie? It's the one of the most famous, Spirited Away. There you go.
Oh, okay, sure.
I didn't see that going that way.
Right. Cool. You have like the witchy character that looks like a witch, and she's got the nose and the lips and the
right.
They try to make them look like horrid. And so one of the things that they play off with the sister and the mother in The Promised Neverland is the mother has to keep up this facade of being the perfect mom, and so that's why she's able to be like the beautiful witch.
Right.
But Sister Crone comes in when they already have the realization of like an evil world, so they paint the normal tropes that they would in other, and it's still kind of problematic because it's very colorist the way that Japanese anime shows do it, where the bad guy will be like dark skinned with the big lips that are slightly off color or whatever, but they utilize that in their own culture a lot to represent evil. And so on top of her being kind of black, she's also painted with these tropes that are common to anime, but they're almost accentuate like how bad it is because she's black, and because it is something that I think as black people in Western society we combat that particular look.
No, there's a reality of hey, we're portraying this is what it is, but I think like one of them is kind of flagrant, and the other one is like
but I mean if you're watching Hunter x Hunter, right?
Yeah.
So the same type of tropes they overlay on to her are the same type of things they do to Hisoka. In like the queer baiting thing, like moment, like in his like
I never heard that.
And
phrase.
also like in his evil moments where they distort his face at certain moments. But she's a black woman with black features, so it like compounds your like where at the beginning you'd be like, I'm kind of okay, but then when that happens, you're like, oh, this isn't okay.
because I agree because Hisoka is like scary clown, right? Like, he's like it pretty much. Yeah. But like I do I agree with you. I think the fact that there are multiple layers. I don't think that the imagery alone is what's offensive. I think there's some compounding things that
for sure. I agree with you. Well, I will say one of the things that is hard about in particular thinking about bad black representation is it almost is like especially when you're like I said when you're dealing with globalization and you're trying to market to a wider audience, that it's like if you are going to and really it should be across the board how that is, but I think maybe when you're in your own bubble, if it doesn't feel like it affects you very much, you're not gonna do anything about it. But now it might affect your pocket, so pay attention. But in any case, if you are going to represent a culture or a people group or an ethnicity in any media that you create, do your research, do your due diligence. You can't just like look at that. You saw the cartoons come over from Disney when you were a kid and they had the blackface characters and stuff like that.
I still think the Migos should have played the crows in the live Dumbo.
That would have been amazing. That's funny. No, but do your due diligence. Don't go as far as seeing like black people and that be like what you think it is. Do go further and say, oh, that's actually really harmful. Too.
Yeah, I'll bring this one up and then we'll move on to our good representation, and then we got one more after that, of course. I did want to bring up. So I want to bring up Yasuke. Like it's weird. That was weird. I hate to put it on this list.
Oh, you're bringing up as like bad.
Hear me out.
Lance.
I don't think the imagery. I think they missed a mark. I don't think it's like
the palm of the hands.
Well,
were
the hands
a thing
were terrible.
For me. The hands. I still can't believe it.
And I think his storyline. Again, when we talk about representation, you're talking about not just do you look like a black person. You're like, hey, does your storyline speak to actual? Now, granted, that could have been part just because the show was not like that, but deep story wise. But I think, but that's. Again, and we'll talk about this later when we talk about the uphill battle that creators have to face. But like, I don't think they only non-black people are getting this wrong, or you know what I mean. Like, I don't think that.
Oh yeah.
Like, I think that was like an attempt of the character looks good, animation is fairly okay. Story, does it actually represent any fraction of black people? Sort of, maybe. And we talked about that, and actually, so we reviewed this actual show. You go on our back catalog and look up Black Samurai Energy. We talk about this exact thing, but I think my issue is just that representation has to do with literally how you're representing, not just how is it image, is a copy and paste image of. And so I think that's why I threw it on the list. So as a kind of a buffer, see how y'all feel about that.
Yeah. Well, I wonder in that case, is there a fact where he didn't want to say no for fear of missed opportunity? Because sometimes I know in like entertainment stuff come up and they be like, they just take it because it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity to get something out there that's not, ignorant or whatever. And if and then the story might not be that strong.
Right.
Or they might be rushing it, but it's better to have something out than nothing. I'm just glad they allowed him to be able to swim.
If I see him doing this,
when that boat capsized, I'm like, oh, there goes his kryptonite.
Yep.
Story's over.
Oh Lord!
I think I just set us back a couple decades.
It's So it's
Harriet Tubman's crying in a grave.
But I think so. Yeah. So and we'll get to moving in a second. I think so. I think him. I think Kofi from Cowboy Bebop. And if you haven't watched Cowboy Bebop, I'm not gonna dive too deep. But that's the other option or the other problem is the feeding into Kofi is Jackie Brown on
the
Cowboy
black
Bebop.
Exploitation.
Yeah, and it's like word. Okay, it's not bad. It's just how representative is it? We don't, and I think this is, and then we're going to good, but this
Black Lagoon has that problem too.
Mm-hmm. I like Black Lagoon.
I love Black Lagoon.
That's great.
Stop it.
Watch Black Lagoon because that's not that popular of an anime.
It's not. It's very good.
Right.
But it has the same thing. Strong black guy, stereotypical stuff.
Yeah,
he's a really good character. He's super dope, and you love him. But because he's one of few,
right,
you worry about what that means.
And you know what? Let's keep it 100. Representation matters because of white people.
Ooh, talk about it. Go ahead.
Because black people can see stuff and be like, oh, we don't do that.
Right.
That's fictional. It's people that don't interact with black people on a regular basis
that don't know.
That can't tell.
No, I hear you.
Another story time.
I'm crying.
Go for it.
I went to a private school and we had uniforms. And so we had dress down days where we could wear whatever. My guy had braids and he wore his do-rag to school. And you know why you wear a do-rag? To keep your hair laid down.
Without a doubt.
Principal called him to the office and tell him he's representing the gang because he's wearing a do-rag. And if you think about it, things in late 70s, 80s,
right?
A lot of the shows, gangster black people had do-rags on, but they didn't have do-rags on because they were in a gang.
Right.
Yeah, and
they
those
had a do-rag on because of their
they were
hairstyle.
just trying to get some waves.
Right.
Trying to get wavy.
But black people
let us be great.
Right.
Black people know that.
Thank God for
but
viral
white people
wave
don't
check
know
videos.
that.
We
right.
that.
So they just associate, gang, do-rag, that's a gang thing.
Right.
That's not what it is. And so that's why
I had that
representation is such a big deal, because somebody that doesn't know or interact with black people on the regular, like the little boy, will take it.
Right.
And run with it.
I had that at work too with my hair. I was talking to she was my boss at the time actually, and we decided sometimes I use hair to talk to people about colorism and things like that in a general sense. Take the opportunity to educate or whatever. So when I'm talking about my hair and it takes a lot and I have to do all this stuff or whatever. And so she was kind of like, oh, I didn't even realize. I thought you just were kind of rolling out the cover to work because with her hair looked as similar as her hair could get to mine. It was representative of her not cleaning it, her not combing it, her not taking care of it.
Right.
If my hair was that frizzy mess on your head kind of thing, it would be because I was kind of not taking care of it. Whereas for me, no.
You can say negligent. We're already used to your big words.
I'm
right.
crying.
Go ahead. Negligent for 500, Bob.
But it was kind of one of those things where I was like, wow, my boss really has been thinking I've just been coming to work reckless every day just because she doesn't understand how my hair works.
Yeah.
Insane.
Yeah. I think, Okay. Yeah, I think I think bad representation matters, but that's the reason why it matters. It matters because ultimately, I'll say it this way: being more palatable. Well, actually, being more palatable to people, especially white people, helps us live longer. You know what I mean? Like,
but the images. Sure. Look at it this way: the way we portray ourselves in the media are our ambassadors.
Yeah.
So
I worry about that though, because it's very talented 10.
There we go.
Because you have people like Sha'Carri Richardson.
Yeah.
We not about to talk about Sha'Carri right now.
Oh, she's fine. She's going to be in the Olympics.
No, she's fine. I just don't want it to go on another 15-minute time.
No, but I'm just saying because you have people that are like, oh, but she looks this way or she looks ghetto, as if like who she is not also a part of who Black people are.
Right.
It was, we want everybody to look and act like Simone Biles or like Gabby or whatever.
That's real. I had a conversation with somebody. Don't get me wrong. I think your appearance matters, but I think it matters to right, like
I almost said take that body off.
Get out. Shut up, Malcolm.
You know what? I'm pivoting after this. But I think like your appearance matters, right? Like, and I think it matters for the setting. But I think as far as
I'm joking.
As far as black people have this kind of issue of, well, we have to look presentable, or we have to look this, and we have to look that. And I think I do think that representation matters, but I don't think that means that we need to qualm like all images of Black people and just have this one small kind of slither of, well, Black people just do this and we're nice and we do that and we wear suits and we wear dresses. Everybody good? Great.
Yeah.
Everybody's hair is flat? Awesome. You know what I mean?
Like, that's perfect on TV.
Yeah. Anyways, let's talk about good representation. I think I went like 10 minutes over on that one. Good representation of color folk, Black people in anime. What do you got?
I think,
why does it work? Also, yeah.
I mean, I think one that I enjoyed, that I feel like wasn't problematic was the Cloud Village in Naruto. So you have like the Raikage, you have Killer Bee, you have Killer Bee, the guys that were trained by Killer
Bee though.
You know what?
I mean,
he was cool.
Yeah, he was, and I'll get into that in a second.
Don't act like you wasn't just freestyling before we was recording.
But that's me. But like Killer Bee is like, anyways.
No, see, but that's the thing. Though. I don't think Killer Bee was a problem. Like,
no, I don't think he was.
And so I mean, you had a whole village basically of Black ninjas, and I mean, which was dope. You know, like they were pretty much the only Black characters in that entire show, but they had a big role, you know, like obviously with Killer Bee being one of the Jinchuriki and the Raikage being arguably probably the strongest of the Kages. Yeah. And at least in pure fight power. Yeah, exactly. It's in pure just badassery. He's the best. And then, I mean, and Killer Bee even, you know, obviously the way we're introduced to Killer Bee is kind of funny because everybody's making fun of his rhyme skills. and I feel like it's weird. So how do you guys feel about that? Because I never watched it dubbed. I only watched it subbed. And so obviously hip hop in different languages obviously has a different feel to it. Yeah. So like when you hear Killer Bee rapping in Japanese, it sounds kind of weird because, you know, like certain languages don't flow the same way that English does. Yeah. And like you have some languages, and I mean you have like with Korean hip hop, you know,
I was gonna say that reminds me of Drunken Tiger.
Like, Tiger JK.
Yeah. He created
a rhyming style.
Jesus, I gotta get better at names.
But no, so like that's kind of the thing where like hip hop obviously originated in the Black community in the United States. Yeah. Mm-hmm. As hobbies have been exported to all these different countries, and like it's huge in Asia. Like hip hop rap is huge in Asia. Like China, it's becoming real huge. Yeah. Korea, there's a whole music industry dedicated to rap and underground hip hop. Yeah. Japan is getting real big. Mm-hmm. And so like you have like in Korea you have Tiger JK who created, literally he formatted a way to speak Korean so that you can rhyme it.
That's dope.
And so yeah, exactly. And so like you have that where it's like it isn't naturally a language that's like that rhythmic kind of feel to it. So like I think with Killer Bee, like I think that's kind of why they did that, is because it didn't sound natural the way he talked.
Yeah.
And so I think that because he always talked in rhyme, and so I don't speak any Japanese, and so like I don't know how rhyming works in Japanese, but obviously in English, if somebody always spoke in rhyme, that would also be a little weird.
Like, what was it? No, they were Chinese. I was thinking about the Higher Brothers. That was big, like a couple made in China. Y'all ain't never hear that song?
Yeah.
Okay. But no, that's what reminded me of. It's different. But there was I don't know how they did that. But anyways, another person I have on my list is I put light skin, jet black, because we got to do, and I didn't appreciate the shade that you threw on our Facebook there, buddy.
I have no idea.
No idea. Okay.
I was just trying to show you some cool from my horse.
Sure. But
that's a butt.
Yeah.
He did that to himself.
I'm always a fan of like the wise older black man that's just trying to be like that's well mannered as far as like when a main character is like a hot head at certain moments, and I think like Jet Black is the guy that's like, yeah man, hey man, just
take it easy, young blood.
Stick the story. Well, yeah, all right, my guy. All right, yeah. Hey, young blood, let me holler at you real quick.
Exactly.
Young blood,
you got the OGs. Yeah,
that's what he's like, a true OG in that. Like, and anytime like, and so I appreciate that works for me when you have a character.
I was gonna say, and to that point too, the idea of like representation does still sometimes, like good or bad representation will sometimes play into tropes or even stereotypes or whatever, but the idea that like that type of person exists and that it's not harmful in an overarching sense to Black people the world over. So I feel like that's why, even though with Jet, like he still does kind of lean into like the, that what you said with the cool, older, wise Black guy that's like, hey, chill, young blood kind of thing.
Right.
Don't I sound cool saying that? But it still works because that person does exist, and that's something as we as Black people can identify as like a, I see that person. That person lives down the street. That person's my granddad, whatever.
Yeah. That don't sound like ridiculous. Like any Black community is like, oh wait, older wise Black man. No, that's what I mean. Like that's kind of thing.
Shout out to Kevin Simmons. No.
Right.
Jesus.
The Godfather. Joking.
Still joking.
Don't want to get canceled on DreamCon. Sorry, my bad. Discord. Sorry. Don't boot us. I have one on here, but y'all mentioned this. I threw Piccolo on here. Piccolo. So there's my issue. I'll go with that first, and then I'll talk about why he works. Okay. Issue is he's green. He's Black, but he's green.
Yeah, right.
He doesn't have to be green, like at all. There are other. Well, then again, I guess Dragon Ball Z doesn't get Black people right ever. So green might have been the savior, but I think what I sort of appreciated about Piccolo is that he does have this. He has this redemption, right? He's like evil Piccolo in Dragon Ball, and then he comes like as this different Piccolo in Dragon Ball Z.
Well, he's one of the Z fighters, and he's
basically
minus Gohan, the best of the Z fighters.
So. But like especially earlier. Well,
early on,
especially early on, right? Because he had all these tricks up his sleeve.
Emphasis on early on.
He fell off quick.
He was still third until Android 18 and 17.
Yeah.
Good guys.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah. But other than that, I think the fact that this guy, so what I appreciate is this guy's a Black father. This guy's a Black father figure.
Stepfather.
Stepfather figure. That's not a thing.
That's right.
That's not something that's represented rarely ever in any Hollywood. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
adoptive fathers and all that.
Right.
Yeah.
I know that.
He's the OG. He's the OG in the show. He's the unk.
And that's why I think that, and again, I think that works for him. I think the fact that Gohan looks to him, that works. And so I think I like him representing that. Like his
Gohan
character
showed up at home wearing FUBU the next week.
So hey Loke.
Oh god. Oh my god.
I got game cast.
Right. Yo, Yo, if you get that reference, type that in the Discord for sure. If you get that reference, that's great. Black cinema at its finest.
I'll say Michiko Tahachin.
Yeah, I saw that. That was on one of these lists.
Yeah.
Talk about that. Why does it work?
It's good. And I think that they might be, sometimes the setting of that makes me feel like maybe it's more Afro-Latina than it is like black, where same difference. So
yeah, in this case,
right, but they're kind of like, I think again, it's because there's so many different types of black people in that it doesn't it just, you see this kind of multifaceted culture in them, and her, as well as like her daughter, who's obviously been raised by different people, shows even a different side. You have the cop lady, I'm bad with names, the cop lady that's chasing them or whatever, that's black too, and she kind of has even different kind of viewpoint in the way that she behaves and moves around in the world. And so she's kind of like, I don't know, that show in general just has like, it tells a really good story, and the blackness of the characters doesn't inhibit the story in any way. I think sometimes it can be like you see a character in the show and it's like, I'm black! I'm like, they're screaming it at you.
I know I'm chasing these people. Let me stop and get some watermelon and some chicken.
There's none of that kind of stuff. Or even like the plight of a black woman interrupting the narrative of the story or whatever. Yeah. It's still, she just is who she is, and this is what's happening to her. And I think that in that kind of the flow of the story works very well. She's a hot mess. She is a hot mess, and the main character is but it works. It works.
Yeah. Where else do y'all see it work?
I mean, I think just like listing off even just a few characters that I think work that don't even necessarily, like, there's not really a specific emphasis put on their blackness, but there also isn't any bad things about their blackness in the show. So like, I think of in Bleach specifically, I think of Tosin and Yoruichi. Yeah, you know, who are obviously black characters.
Yeah, Tosin like Jamaican black.
Yeah, right. He is right. But like, and it's cool because so they exist in the story. They don't detract from the story. They don't like you were saying. They're not like, hey, we're black, but like, you know, they exist in a sphere in that story, and they're both of them are important characters. You know, neither of them are kind of throwaway characters. Like Tosin is like Aizen's right-hand man. Yep. And then Yoruichi is like one of Ichigo's squad, and she's like one of the ones that trains him. And so like you have those characters who are really great characters in that story. Yep. And then you have, you know, like in One Piece, you have Aokiji, who's one of the admirals, you know, like, again, not a very loudly black character, but like nonetheless a dope character. And then one other character that I thought of that's kind of a random one, then I'll let you guys throw out if you have any random ones that you think work. Is Egil from Sword Art Online. So he's the shopkeeper. He's the first guy really that like joins Kirito right at the beginning. And then like kind of sees that, hey, if we're gonna get through this, we're gonna have to do this together. Right. And so like, and he's like throughout every season, he's one of the main squad. You know, like he's a stay in every single season. Yeah. And he's a dope character. Like he, you know, looks good, you know, he's got that, you know, the shaved head, he makes it look good, you know.
Yep. And, like the shiny one. You know?
Yeah, exactly, the shiny one. But no, he's a great character that exists and is done, in my opinion, really well.
Yeah, he's definitely on my list.
Girl from Carol and Tuesday. Well, a lot of the black representation in Carol and Tuesday, the different artists and stuff that are on the show. In a general though, that's another Watanabe series. He's the guy that did Cowboy Bebop and
Watanabe, I think is his last name.
That's right. I think I said that right, didn't I? I'm real bad with names if y'all didn't get that so far. But I think Carol and Tuesday in general, like the different black characters in that one, also you're right. But it's also like a Netflix show. It's also a Netflix show. So they might have been a little bit, I don't know, more intentional in a general sense because they know who their audience is, although Netflix has its moments.
Right.
Yeah, and then Canary, of course. I just love Canary.
Yeah,
Canary is interesting to me though too, and in general, there's a couple of Black people that we've listed that are like they exist in worlds that aren't our modern world. They're like maybe way in the distance or like, you know, in another world altogether.
Right, super fantastic. Yeah.
So I'm wondering about with that, how important it is to seem or feel Black in the way that we culturally understand Black people.
I mean, she had like natural hair.
Yeah.
It's like I think in a case like that, that's good enough. Like I don't want to see Lando Calrissian being super pro Black in the middle of space. It's not going to do you
because it doesn't have the same significance.
Right.
It's not the same type of thing.
That's a. I'll segue that to my last question because it ties in. What are uphill battles that creators face, like these animators and different folks face when they're trying to make anime more diverse? Like what are some problems that you might see arising for a lot of these folks? We've seen some of them already. So
I mean, I think folks just not doing their research. Kind of like you said earlier in the episode, people that, I mean, because like with the world as it is now, with the internet and with, you know, like travel, you know, you can hop on a plane and be all the way across the world for $1,100. Mm-hmm. You know, like you can literally travel the entire world really easily. And you have people like in Japan, like there's really no excuse not to know about Black folks because Black folks are everywhere now.
Yeah.
You know, and so people are traveling, whether it's creatives, people that are teaching English, you know, people that are doing whatever, or just people that are out traveling.
Yeah.
You know, and so and so, I mean, there's really no excuse not to do your research and not to be at least true in some sense to the culture.
Yeah.
You know, there's zero excuse at this point, other than you know, at this point it's a choice. You know, do you want to make it? How do you want it to be perceived?
Yeah.
I think you got to be open for criticism too. Kind of.
Yeah,
I think
that's true.
It should be like a negotiation, like with the lady from Finding Neverland. Like we disagree on it.
Finding
we both
Neverland.
have.
Promise Neverland.
Promise Neverland. Sorry.
that was a whole different.
Peter Pan, all that. Yeah. Same difference. Little kids don't grow up because they get eaten. Whatever. Same story.
No, but Finding Neverland is the Michael Jackson documentary. Am I wrong?
It is.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm thinking. I'm thinking about the.
Yes, you're thinking about
the Johnny Depp movie. What is that called? What was the Johnny Depp movie?
Is it Finding Neverland?
I think it is.
It is Finding Neverland.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Go for it. Go for it. My bad. Go ahead.
In certain lights. Misrepresentation of the Black man. Oh no, but like, because in that situation, I could see if somebody complained that all these anime Black people now recently look like light skin.
There we go.
And then they like, well,
except
let's
for
put
you,
it.
Fire Force, you're doing a great job.
And then in that case, they might have been like, well, let's give her more African features. And then we still are like, oh well, I don't know.
Yeah.
So you gotta.
I was gonna say
it's gonna be hard, kind of, because it's. I feel if some people agree and some people disagree, you're probably in a good place,
right?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So, like, you're gonna get judged, and it's an art too, so you're gonna get judged either way.
Yeah.
How you present a character. So
yeah, I was gonna say sometimes it's people like us. That's the problem that they come across. It's because we're watching you, and you want us to watch you, but like we're watching you, and so we have this idea of what we think getting it right is and what we think getting it wrong is. And I think in an ideal world, you have it where it's like just let us in the room. And I think maybe in America or in Western society or places where there are enough people of color to do something like that, where it's like, yeah, you could let someone in the room and you're making the choice not to, and you're over here making stuff.
Yeah.
But when you're in a homogeneous nation, what did they say? Like it's less than 5%, probably way less than even 5% of people in that entire country are people from
not
even just
Japanese
people
origin,
from
right?
Not that country, even less so when you're talking about people of color. Or what we would consider, I mean, those are people of color
a different
in Japan.
color.
Right. But when you're talking about situations like that, you don't have necessarily the ability for everyone that wants to write a story that maybe is like post-apocalyptic or is fantastical or is crazy in some other type of way that wants to be able to represent the idea of ethnic diversity, being able to have people of color in the room when they're creating those stories in order to get everything right. So it's like, to a certain extent, we have to forgive someone's ignorance, and we can take the opportunity when it gets out there to educate them after the fact, and maybe they can do better as they go forward or whatever.
Yeah.
But we can't necessarily if you want to be in the show, you can't tell them that they also need to have, because it's not logistically going to be possible. Yeah. So it's like you have to choose one of the, either you're going to have to forgive people that have good intentions, and that just don't know, and then you take when they get on the global stage, you take the opportunity to educate them, or you say, stop putting this in your stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like, if we're talking about representation in anime and we want to be in it more, then we have to know that they're gonna, like, the people that are creating anime in Japan don't have the ability to have us in the room all the time.
Right.
And so if we want to be in it, they have to be able to write stories about us.
That's the hardest part.
Yeah.
Because we bring up Yasuke and we bring up Cannon Busters, and I'm not like killing the dude that created them, but I think about, like, I'm like, do Japanese people make the best anime? Probably, likely, highly likely.
Yeah.
Are their stories a bit more robust than like a Yasuke story or whatnot?
Well, part of that's because it's coming from a written form first.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So I think that's why I see the uphill battle, right? It's like a lot of people that are making animes with people of color, they're not pulling from like a source material like a manga or a comic book or anything like that, because that's easy. That's a layup. Like when somebody has a robust manga and they're able to do different things. Like, for example, if somebody, or manhwa in this case, if somebody animates Solo Leveling, that's a layup. Like, that's not even hard. It's just like, don't screw it up. Right. But I think when you are going straight to anime and you're having to create a rich story and you have to sacrifice things in the making, like if it's a movie like Yasuke, or if you just have poor like representation of certain characters or whatnot, I think that's the uphill battle, is telling the story and creating the story. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying like I could create the story that easily. I'm saying it's a hard thing to try to create a complex story and have all of these things in mind. So I'm not saying it's a judgmental factor. I'm just saying that, like, I empathize. Like, I can see how that would be hard to do that.
Yeah. Well, for those, I think it's hard too, because you're not promised 2-3 seasons. So you can't really character build. Right. You're trying to squeeze all the quote unquote anime tropes into 8-12 episodes.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that makes it doubly hard, to write a compelling story and things like that.
Because anime's changing. It's not, ain't no more Toonami. They need to bring that back though. I watch it, but ain't no more Toonami. It's Netflix.
They're still playing anime on Cartoon Network. Is that not Toonami?
I don't know if that's.
Am I too old?
I don't.
No, they did. They did actually reboot.
They did reboot it. Yes.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because they were doing Demon Slayer on Cartoon Network. Yeah,
but what like a lot of people are consuming, it's not that, like, now it's everywhere, and so it's
Cable's pretty much dead.
You said what?
Cable's pretty much dead.
Cable is dead. Sad.
Well, now cable is just streaming services.
Right. Awesome. This was a great conversation. If you're in the Discord, let us know what you think. Join the conversation. Be a part of this conversation. Our hope is to build a community of anime lovers, or people who love nerd culture in general, so that we may have more conversations about representation. So we may have more conversations about what it may look like for people of color to be just in the space and then not be weird and then not be strange. Subscribe to our YouTube. All these links will be in here too. Subscribe to our YouTube. Join our Discord. Also, keep commenting in the DreamCon Discord. Listen to our podcast in audio form if you're a person that's like, Hey man, I can't watch a video all day. I do stuff. That's fine. We got an audio version.
Maddie sound like you're selling stolen watches off from a trench coat.
Right?
Facts. Otherwise,
I got the links, man. I got the links.
Right, I got the links. Otherwise, the slogan is "Stay colorful, peace."